Exposed, heartwarming journey of a betrayed Cinderella who discovered an incredible CEO under the blooms of Maplewood. In the charming suburb of Maplewood, whispers and judgments floated like morning fog. Emma, a 35-year-old single mother, stood amid colorful blooms in her family's floral shop, her heart aching not just from the flowers' sweet fragrance but from a lingering betrayal. Once the proud wife of an aristocrat, her life unraveled when he traded a loving home for the bright lights of city life. Now, as she arranged daisies and roses, she battled the weight of shame and heartbreak. Emma looked over at her teenage daughter, Lily. Spirited and strong-willed, Lily was trying to find her way through the hardships of adolescence, lost amid the stares and whispers of Maplewood's elite. They had so much love between them, but the world outside often cast shadows over their bond. Emma faced the pitying glances of former acquaintances who once respected her. Now they murmured behind her back, "Did you see her shop? It's a shame." Emma felt every word cut like thorns from the very flowers she nurtured. Just when Emma thought hope was lost, fate intervened. One sunny afternoon, she met Jake, a former CEO on sabbatical, who seemed a world away from Maplewood's entangled social chains. He strolled into her shop, his demeanor warm and approachable. Unlike the wealthy patrons who made her feel small, Jake treated her like an equal. He poured his heart into helping the community, genuinely wanting to support struggling businesses. As they chatted, Emma caught the flicker of something new, a sisterhood that felt betrayed and resilience tightly woven together. Before she could let herself dream, a flyer fluttered into her view. A grant competition aimed at revitalizing local businesses beckoned. It ignited a spark in her, but fear and self-doubt threatened to extinguish it. Could she truly put herself out there? Would those same former friends now judge her efforts as desperate? During a gathering to celebrate local heroes, tensions flared. Emma and Jake stood side by side at the community center, surrounded by a sea of familiar faces. The buzz in the room swelled, mixed reactions swirling like a thunderstorm. Emma's heart raced as she realized this moment wasn't just for the floral shop, it was her chance to reclaim her dignity. "They need to see me as I am, not how they want to define me," she whispered to Jake, who gave her an encouraging nod. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Emma felt the pulse of the crowd, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity that left her breathless. Just as she opened her mouth to share her story, a figure from her past emerged, a voice dripping with disdain for everything Emma had become. The air crackled with tension as her estranged mother entered, casting an ominous shadow over their intertwined futures. Would the hurtful perceptions drown out the glimmers of hope? Emma's heart sank, fear clutching at her. But amid the waves of doubt, the strength of her love for Lily ignited a fire in her chest. She had the chance to rise from the ashes of her past and reclaim her life. Would she play it safe or step into the light? The moment was now, and she could feel it. Would she allow this opportunity to slip through her fingers? The crowd held its breath, and so did Emma. The moment hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. Emma felt the eyes of the crowd boring into her, some familiar, some judgmental, and others imbued with curiosity. Her heart raced, caught between the urge to flee and the desperate need to stand her ground. The voice from her childhood that had always loomed large in her mind seemed to echo as if daring her to make this leap. Emma stole a glance at Lily, who wore a look of fierce determination that filled her with strength. "Remember why we're here," Lily whispered, squeezing her mother's hand tightly. With that encouragement, Emma inhaled deeply, the floral scent of her shop filling her with resolve. She felt like a phoenix, poised to rise from the ashes of her past. Stepping forward, she greeted the crowd with a steadier voice than she felt. "I'm Emma," she started, her voice shaking slightly, but she built momentum from the warmth of the flowers surrounding them. "And this is my story." A ripple of surprise washed through the audience. The chatter settled into a stillness that held its breath. Emma glanced at her mother, who stood tight-lipped and unmoving, disdain etched across her face. This was the moment Emma longed for an end to the silence that had suffocated her for so long. "I opened this shop not just as a business, but as a sanctuary for my daughter and me," Emma said, words tumbling forth like blooms breaking through the soil. "I've faced hardships, and yes, I've made mistakes, but I refuse to let these define me. I'm standing here today to reclaim my dignity and celebrate my growth." A few murmurs of approval broke through the tense atmosphere, and her eyes caught Jake watching her with something akin to pride. It was as if she could feel his encouragement wrap around her, a comforting embrace as she continued. "I've come to realize that it doesn't matter what others think. What matters is what we believe about ourselves. And I believe in the beauty of resilience." She looked straight at her mother, steadying her breath. The tension simmered, a tightrope walk between love and betrayal. "And I won't let the past consume me. I am here to grow, and I want the women of this community to grow with me." The crowd stirred, the energy shifting as some faces softened. Emma's words hit home, a testament to courage that women like her, like Lily, needed to hear. "So, I'm asking you to support us, not just with pity or judgment, but with hope. Let us revive Maplewood together." She stopped, breathless, her heart pounding. Would they embrace her vulnerability? Would they rally behind her? A soft hand clapped against another, and the sound spread, igniting applause that quickly rippled through the gathering. Cheering erupted as if they had collectively shed the weight of skepticism. For a moment, everything faded, the noise of judgment, the memories of loss, and all that remained was the joy of possibility. But just as quickly, Emma spotted her mother's face, taut and angry, her lips pressed into a thin line, the anger swirling like a tempest in her eyes. Emma's heart sank for a fleeting moment. What venom would her mother unleash now that the spotlight shone on her daughter after years of silence? As the crowd's support continued, Emma felt an unfamiliar strength swelling inside her, a real possibility of reclaiming her place in this world. Would she stand strong against her mother's wrath, or would she crumble under the pressure of familial bonds and years of hurt? The wave of uncertainty crashed over her again, and she wondered what other battles awaited her. Perhaps this was the beginning of something transformation, or a pathway illuminated by both support and confrontation. Emma's spirit flickered with hope, but as she turned to face the crowd once more, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was merely the calm before the storm. What would tomorrow hold for her and Lily when the applause faded and reality settled in? The future loomed on the horizon, thrilling yet daunting, and one thought echoed in her mind: who would she become next? The applause faded into a soft murmur, and Emma felt the warmth of the crowd's support like a gentle hug. But then, the weight of her mother's gaze brought her crashing back to reality. The joy she had just tasted soured in her throat, replaced with dread. She could already sense the tension brewing, the storm building just above her. "Emma," her mother's voice cut through the crowd's cheers, sharp and laced with disdain. "You're making a fool of yourself." The air felt electric, charged with hostility. Emma's heart pounded like a drum as the crowd shifted, mixed expressions painted across their faces. Some looked confused, others concerned. But Emma stood frozen, her mother's fury anchoring her to the spot. "Mom, no," Emma tried to plead, but the imploring tone of her voice was drowned out by the forcefulness of her mother's words. "Do you really think this is what your father wanted? This pathetic display?" Her mother stepped forward, fingers clenched into fists by her side. "You're tarnishing the family name, Emma. All for a shop full of flowers?" In that moment, the applause became a distant echo. Emma felt exposed, like a child under her mother's harsh scrutiny. The warmth of the crowd began to feel cold, their faces blurring into a background of supportive strangers who suddenly felt distant and untrustworthy. Lily sprang to action, moving beside her mother, eyes blazing with indignation. "Stop it. Mom, she's not doing this for you. She's doing this for herself." The words came out strong and fierce, like a lioness defending her cub. Emma watched as her daughter stood defiantly, the strength of youth igniting a flicker of hope within her. A small voice inside urged her to respond, to reclaim her narrative. But what could she possibly say in the face of such raw hurt? The space around them buzzed with tension, holding its breath in anticipation of a confrontation. "Grow up, Lily." "You don't understand," her mother spat, but Lily held her ground. "Maybe you're the one who doesn't understand. This isn't just about you or Dad anymore. This is her life. It was extraordinary to see her daughter step up, and for the first time, Emma felt a glimmer of pride that overshadowed her fear. When the old wounds of their family came to the surface, she felt the urge to confront every phrase her mother had ever slung at her. To not just fold under the weight of it all but to rise, to bloom. "Mom," Emma interjected, her own voice rising with newfound strength, "you may see me as a failure, but I see myself as capable of so much more. I refuse to live in that fear anymore." Booming applause erupted from somewhere in the audience. Emma's heart lifted slightly, but she remained tethered to the moment, her mother's bitter glare piercing through the support. "Is this what you've become? Defiant and pathetic?" Her mother shot back, her words cutting deep. Emma felt the sting, but alongside it came clarity. The audience's energy swelled, rallying like a tide behind her. They weren't merely onlookers, they were a community, and this was not just her battle. It belonged to all of them. "Maybe it is time for you to see who I become," Emma said, her voice steady and clear. "To finally look at me, and not the version you wish I was." The silence that followed was thick, but something shifted. The look in the crowd's eyes went from disbelief to a profound connection. It was a ripple of shared experiences fighting against disapproval, struggling to be seen, but as Emma took in the crowd's support, the realization hit hard. Was she strong enough to stand up not just to her mother, but to all the expectations that had once defined her? Before she could ponder further, a loud shout came from the back of the crowd. "And we'll stand with you." Emma turned, her heart swelling as those words washed over her. But as she searched the faces around her, her gaze fell on Jake. His smile encouraged her, but there was something deeper in his eyes, something she hadn't noticed before. The possibilities were unfolding like petals in spring, yet amid the blooming hope, a new question struck. Horror. How would she navigate the forces now stirring within her family? As the crowd began to cheer again, urging both women to reconsider their paths, Emma wondered if this moment of defiance could lead her to the truth about herself and whether she could muster the courage to fully embrace who she was destined to become. Would she remain trapped between old wounds and new beginnings? And what unexpected journey awaited her next in this delicate unfolding of resilience? Emma's thoughts swirled amid the crowd's cheers, each voice blending into a symphony of support. But beneath it all lay a nagging reminder of her mother's harsh glare. The applause felt almost surreal, like an echo in a vast canyon offering no real direction. Lily remained at her side, the fire in her demeanor a striking contrast to her mother's icy contempt. "Mom, let her be. This is who she is." Her daughter's defense wrapped around Emma like a protective shield, bolstering her courage. "Mom," Emma said, turning to her mother with what felt like an unexpected surge of confidence. "I've spent too long trying to comply with what you think I should be." "What about what I want?" The air grew heavy as Emma's words hung. Her mother's frown deepened, the lines etched in her face telling of years spent holding on to ideals that seemed more like chains than guidance. "You want to be a common florist? Is that the legacy you want?" Her mother shot back, disdain seeping through each syllable. The question echoed in Emma's mind, filling her with doubt. Was her dream small? Was it too late for her to be more than what was expected? "I want to create, to bring beauty to the world," Emma replied, the tremor in her voice transforming into conviction. "These flowers, this shop, it's my dream. And it means everything to me." The crowd resonated with her passion, the applause growing louder. They were not merely patrons of a shop, they believed in her vision, her need to break free. Emma could feel the waves of energy flushing through the audience. It didn't just uplift her, it ignited a sense of purpose she hadn't known before. Jake stepped forward, a reassuring presence in the tumult. "Emma, your shop brings joy to so many. This isn't just about flowers, it's about hope." Hope. The word hung in the air, tangible and alive. Emma caught a glimpse of her day-to-day customers smiling, laughter rippling through her shop, the warmth that surrounded her every time she arranged petals. She liked that person, the one who dared to dream. But her mother stood unyielding, arms crossed tight against any shift of shame or understanding. "You would throw away everything for a foolish venture? You'll regret this." "Regret living my truth?" Emma shot back, the fire behind her words liberating, a brick breaking loose from the wall her mother built around her. I'd rather regret failing than never trying. Emma, her mother began, but the word was drenched in disbelief. The crowd sighed collectively, as if waiting for the inevitable fallout. Emma took a breath, grounding herself. No more, Mom. It's time I choose for myself. Lily squeezed her mother's arm, giving Emma strength. The tension was palpable, splitting the moment like a swollen storm cloud ready to burst. Maybe what you see as foolishness, Emma continued, pushing forward, is the only path to finding who I really am. I'm not just a replica of you. I have my own journey. A heartbeat of silence followed. Emma's heart raced, uncertainty lacing her veins. But in that moment, a soft murmur began to rise from the crowd, building into a chanting rhythm. We'll stand with you. We'll stand with you. Each voice surged within Emma, twisting a knot in her throat. She wanted to respond, to embrace the tide of courage, but the knot of fear remained tethered to her mother's looming shadow. As the noise swirled around her, Jake stepped a little closer, his presence calming yet compelling. What happens from here is up to you, Emma. No matter what it looks like. In that moment, she realized. This wasn't just about her mother anymore. This was a reckoning of everything she wished for, every hope and every fear colliding in one defining moment. Will I be brave enough to step fully into my light? She whispered to herself, feeling the weight of her mother's gaze pressing down. But the crowd's chant began to drown that doubt, a sound that led her back to her heart. Suddenly, she felt the urge to move towards her truth, but just as she was about to embrace that shift, another voice called out from the crowd, an unexpected one that sent a jolt through her chest. Emma! It was Sarah, her oldest friend, waving her arms. You can't let her win. Not now. The tide had truly shifted, the air electrified with potential. Emma turned to face her mother one last time, a fire igniting deep within her. Could she truly embrace this wild vision ahead of her? Would she take the leap, or would this remain a moment of could-have-beens? Just as dread mingled with hope, she felt the need to step forward, to dive into that received energy bursting around her. What lay ahead was uncertain but promising. She took a deep breath, ready to shatter everything, or was she? What revelation awaited her journey? Emma's heart pounded in her ears, a steady beat urging her to move. She could feel the weight of her mother's scrutiny like 1,000 eyes boring into her, but there was something different now. Something buoyant in the air, the way the crowd swayed, the palpable hope that charged the space between them. Emma! Sarah called again, her voice breaking through the haze of tension. Each cheer surged like a wave, pushing Emma to the forefront of her own life. The small voice of doubt began to fade, suppressed by the harmony of the crowd who stood ready to support her. Now! She whispered, her internal mantra. The words poured out. I'm ready. But as she stepped forward, unleashing the courage that had been imprisoned for too long, her mother took a sharp, deliberate step toward her. Do you really think this is your moment? Her mother's words sliced through the jubilant chants, cold and commanding. You think they'll support you when it all falls apart? Emma's resolve crystallized. No, Mom. I think they'll support me because I'm finally being me. The confidence in her voice was like sunlight breaking through the fog, illuminating possibilities she'd only dared to imagine. Lily beamed, her face bright with pride. Jake stood close, his hand resting on the small of Emma's back in solidarity. For the first time, the space felt alive with promise. People motioned, whispered encouragement, and to Emma's surprise, a few members of the crowd began to chant again, Emma! Emma! Even her mother's hardened expression began to crack, just a little. Emma felt the cracks running through the facade. A foolish venture, you said? What if it's not foolish at all? What if it's brave? Emma took a step towards her mother, who regarded her with a mix of disbelief and dread. Mom, I won't hide anymore. If you can't be happy for me, that's on you. But I have to be true to myself. The words hung in the air, a silent challenge. She felt a tear escape, the weight of everything pressing against her now freed by the depth of her emotional stand, and it wasn't just sadness, it was liberation. The pockets of uncertainty she'd carried, the fear of loss, the dread of failure, it was all there, but entwined with a thread of exhilaration. Sarah stepped close. You've got this, Emma. You're not just a florist, you're a creator, a dreamer. You bring so much joy. At that moment, Emma felt transformed. She was fired up, like molten glass that had finally found its shape in the furnace of pressure. She looked back at the audience and saw their faces shine with admiration. Each smile was an invitation, an acknowledgement of the power she possessed. Her mother pressed her lips together, still unsure, still fighting against the tide of the moment. This isn't over, Emma, she said, her tone low and fierce. You'll see. With that, Emma took another deep breath, centered herself, and faced the crowd folding around her like the petals of her beloved flowers. The battle may never fully end, she could feel that. But she was ready to embrace the fight. Together! She shouted, lifting both arms high. The audience erupted, a wave of support crashing into her. Emma could almost believe, for the first time in her life, that she was exactly where she was meant to be. As the energy surged, a thought shot through her mind, a question, a possibility. What if this was merely a beginning? What if stepping into her light opened a door she never saw coming? Somewhere in that crowd, perhaps was someone who might change everything. And at that thought, a spark ignited deep within her soul. What comes next? She wondered, an exhilarating rush settling in. Emma felt ready to dive into the unknown, but suddenly the crowd began to disperse, a new ripple forming. She caught sight of a figure weaving through the remnants of the crowd, a tall man in a suit, eyes focused intently on her. Who was he? And why did he look so determined? A thrill ran down her spine as she braced for whatever was about to unfold. The man approached steadily, his expression unwavering. He was tall with dark hair neatly combed back, almost like he had just stepped out of a magazine. Emma's heart raced, not just with excitement but with a tinge of apprehension. The chants were fading, but the energy in her chest remained, buzzing like electricity. Excuse me, he said, his voice deep but warm, slicing through the lingering applause. Emma? She nodded, unable to find her voice. I'm Alex, and I've been watching. What you just did, it was incredible. He stepped closer, the crowd parting slightly around him. Emma felt the warmth of his compliment wash over her, but uncertainty still loomed. What did he mean by observing? Thank you, she managed, trying to keep her composure. I just spoke from my heart. I could tell. And that's exactly why I'm here, he said, excitement lacing his tone. I'm with a startup that's looking for fresh ideas in creative spaces. You have the spark we're searching for. Her breath caught. A startup? What does that have to do with me? Our team believes in empowering local talents. I think you could be a perfect fit, especially with your floral design skills. But more than that, I sensed a sincerity in your words. You're not just a florist, you're an artist at heart. Emma's stomach flipped. She had always dreamed of being recognized for her creativity, but could she really fit into a world so vastly different from her own? Could she shed the past she had struggled against? But I don't know anything about business, she replied, doubt creeping back in. Emma, you know your craft better than anyone else. That's the foundation. What we can teach you is how to expand it, to reach others with your vision, he urged, his dark eyes unwavering, filled with a confidence that she wished she could feel. A flicker of hope sparked within her. What would I need to do? He took a step back, scanning her face as if seeing not just Emma the florist but Emma the dreamer. I'd love for you to come to our office tomorrow. We can talk details, share ideas, and figure out how we can work together. The opportunity felt huge, monumental almost. But in the back of her mind lingered the doubt. The tightening grip of her mother's disapproval flashed through her thoughts. What about my family? My mom, he paused, his expression shifting to one of compassion. You have to pursue what makes you happy. Don't let anyone's fear hold you back. You've seen the support of your friends today. Trust in that. Emma felt the weight of his words, and for a brief moment, the warmth of belonging radiated in her chest. She was finally being seen for who she truly was, not just who others wanted her to be. What if this all falls apart? She whispered, fear creeping back. Alex smiled gently. The greatest stories often come from taking those leaps. You can't know until you try. Before she could respond, her friends, Sarah and Jake, reappeared, their faces bright with excitement. "What's going on?" Sarah asked, glancing between Emma and Alex. Curious and hopeful, Emma glanced at Alex, and then back at her friends, the whirlwind of emotions crashing within her. This was a leap into the unknown, but was it worth the risk? "Sarah, Jake," Emma started, her voice steadier now, "I think I might." As the crowd continued to ebb away, she realized she stood at the edge of a new chapter, and the choice before her dazzled and terrified her all at once. But as she looked into Alex's expectant gaze, she knew one thing for sure: this was more than an opportunity, it was a call to be brave. What would she choose? Emma took a breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Would she really step into this new world? And as she faltered, she couldn't help but wonder if an unknown passion awaited her just beyond that door. Emma's heart raced as she exchanged glances with her friends. It felt like the world had paused, allowing her to sit with the gravity of her decision. Should she really take the leap? Could she move beyond her small-town comfort zone and venture into the unknown? The future stretched out before her like an open road, and for the first time, it felt like she had the power to choose her destination. What if this is just a one-time thing? She murmured, almost to herself. What if I'm not enough? Jake nudged her gently. Emma, look at what you just did. You inspired people out there. That's not a one-time thing, that's a gift. His enthusiasm was infectious, and her heart swelled at the pride in his voice. But what if I fail? She asked, her voice quiet but filled with intensity. Then you get back up, and you try again, Sarah interjected with fierce determination. You've been given a chance that so many dream of. Don't let your fears hold you back. Emma's pulse quickened again, and she felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in a long time: courage. A quiet, persistent notion pushed her to think of what could be, not what might go wrong. What if she could transform her love for flowers into something more? Something real and vibrant that could touch others? With a deep breath, she decided to step into the unknown, if only to see where it led. Okay, I'll meet him tomorrow, she said, surprising herself with the resolve in her voice. Awesome! Jake said, pumping his fist in the air. This is just the beginning, Em. You've got this. As they wrapped their arms around her in a group hug, Emma felt a newfound energy coursing through her. They were her support system, her cheerleaders. This journey was hers, but she wouldn't be alone. That night, sleep eluded her. She lay awake, tossing and turning, replaying Alex's words in her head. The possibilities danced like shadows on the walls of her mind, casting both hope and fear in equal measure. Could this really be the start of a new life? Or would it turn into a frustrating exercise in humiliation? The thought of her mother's disapproval lingered like a dark cloud. The next morning dawned bright and clear, the sun spilling rays of light that cut through her doubts. As she stood in front of the bathroom mirror, her fingers lingered on the edges of her hair, forming wild curls, an echo of her ambitious spirit. It was time to shed the self-doubt that crept in like an unwanted guest. Wrapped in a soft floral dress that seemed to mirror her hopes, she made her way to the office. As she approached the building, excitement pulsated through her veins, mixing with nerves that threatened to pull her back. The interior of the office was a far cry from the floral shop she had come to know. The austere walls adorned with vibrant artwork inspired creativity. She could feel a buzz in the air, filled with the chatter of ambitious minds. When Alex spotted her from across the room, his face lit up in an encouraging smile. "Glad you made it," he said, welcoming her into his space with an ease that eased her apprehension. As they settled down, he began outlining their vision for the startup, sharing stories of risk and reward. With each passing moment, Emma felt a flicker of excitement ignite within her. His confidence was intoxicating, sparking her own sense of purpose, but then, a nagging thought flickered, a question lurking in the shadows. Am I truly ready for this? As the conversation deepened, Alex asked her what her dreams really looked like. Emma hesitated, the weight of her vision held tightly in her chest. I want to create something beautiful, she began, feeling more alive than she had in years, but just as she began to open up, a notification on her phone buzzed, pulling her out of the moment. The name on the screen sent her heart plummeting. It was her mother. "What do you want?" she thought, anxiety gripping her as she weighed the consequences of answering, and somehow, in that moment, Emma realized that this choice was also about more than creativity or business. It was about standing up for herself and the path she chose to take. Would she allow fear to dictate her life? As she stared at Alex, seeing the belief reflected in his eyes, she knew she had to answer her mother eventually. But first, she needed to claim her own destiny. With a voice that felt steadier now than it had moments before, Emma ventured, "What if we create a partnership that not only showcases flowers but also empowers others to express themselves?" What would follow could change everything for both of them. As the conversation unfolded and the room filled with exciting ideas, Emma couldn't shake off the feeling that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. But in the back of her mind, she grasped the reality her past wouldn't let go easily. How far would she have to go to finally break free? Emma took a breath, her heart racing alongside the uncertainty swirling in her mind. Alex leaned in, genuinely intrigued, his eyes sparkling with ideas. "I love that idea." He laughed, his enthusiasm infectious. "A floral business that isn't just about the flowers but about the stories behind them. We can give people a platform to share their lives through floral art. That would be revolutionary." As his voice washed over her, she felt the warmth of possibility wrap around her. "And we can have workshops where people can come and create their own arrangements," Emma added, gaining momentum. "It can be a space for healing and connection." The words flowed, and suddenly each idea felt more solid, like petals coming together to form a vibrant bouquet. Alex dug out a notebook, jotting down notes, and Emma could see how her vision was beginning to take shape. But just as the thrill of their collaboration surged, a feeling of dread pooled in her stomach. Moments later, her phone buzzed again, and she instinctively glanced down. A text from her mother flashed on the screen, "We need to talk. Now." The sudden weight of it all knocked the breath out of her. I should probably respond," Emma stammered, anxiety creeping in on her again. Alex stopped writing and looked up, concern in his eyes. "Everything okay?" With a forced smile, she tried to dismiss her unease. "Just family stuff," she replied, not wanting to burden him. But the words felt heavy more than just family. "I know what that's like." Alex ran a hand through his hair, his expression mixed with understanding and a hint of frustration. "But don't forget that you chose this path, Emma. You don't have to go back to the same old doubts." His words resonated, a reminder that she had taken a chance. "You're right," she said, the decision forming in her mind. She wouldn't let her mother's expectations stifle her anymore. Emma took another deep breath, forcing the apprehension to recede as she called on the courage she had felt earlier. "I want to keep going with this. Can we brainstorm more ideas?" Alex smiled brightly, and they dove back into their plans, rifling through notebook pages filled with different themes, potential event ideas, and marketing strategies. The busyness of the moment kept her mind occupied, the creative energy high as they laughed and bounced ideas off each other. Hours slipped by, the office transforming around them with the essence of their growing partnership. But even in the flow of creativity, Emma was conscious of the sting of her mother's expectations lurking just outside her focus. Deep down, she knew she had to contend with that relationship eventually. And what if her mother didn't approve? What if she viewed this passion project as another failure? As the sun began to set and cast a golden glow through the office windows, Emma felt a stirring inside her. More than simply courage, it was urgency and adrenal push to seize what felt like a fleeting moment. She glanced at Alex, fully immersed in a discussion about potential clients. "Alex, if we go through with this, we need to get our first event right," she said, determination firm. "It has to be special." "Absolutely." He nodded and met her gaze, understanding sparking between them. "Let us make it unforgettable." In that moment, Emma felt it a bond forming, built on shared dreams and ambitions. But just as she thought about what they could achieve together, another text chimed from her phone, breaking her train of thought again. It was her mother, yet again. "I'm outside." Panic threaded through her, a tempest of emotions surging. "I have to answer her," she whispered, feeling the weight pulling her back into the familiar confines of her past. Alex's expression shifted, concern replacing enthusiasm. Do you want me to come with you? We can handle it together. No, Emma replied, shaking her head. This is my fight. The stakes had never been higher. She placed her hands firmly on the table, staring at the message as if it held the answers to the turmoil inside her. Could she really break free? Was she ready to confront her mother and her past, without fear? As she stood to face her mother, Emma could feel the strength of all her decisions washing over her. Was this the moment she took a stand? With each step toward the door, the weight of her choice materialized in her chest, combining both fear and anticipation. But what if, just what if, she finally found the courage to embrace the life she wanted? The moment of truth awaited just outside that door. Emma opened the door, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The anticipation felt electric, a tension building that merged fear with excitement. Her mother stood there, arms crossed and lips pursed, a familiar expression that spoke volumes. The late afternoon sunlight painted her mother in hues of disappointment, like a storm cloud threatening to overflow. Emma, she began, her voice steady but cold. We need to talk about your future. This flower shop idea? It's not realistic. Emma's pulse quickened. Mom, it's not just a flower shop. It's so much more than that. Her mother's brow furrowed. You can't keep running away from what you should be doing. You have a degree, you have a career to think about. The weight of her mother's expectations pressed down fiercely. Emma had always felt the pressure to conform, to follow a path paved by her mother's ambitions. But today felt different. I don't want to be what you want me to be. She blurted out, the words tumbling from her lips before she could stop them. This project, it means something to me. It's about helping people, connecting them through stories and flowers. Her mother's eyes softened, just a flicker of uncertainty appearing before the mask returned. You think flowers will pay the bills? It's a hobby, Emma. You need stability. Stability. That single word echoed through the corridor of Emma's mind, igniting memories of long nights spent studying in college and countless conversations where her dreams were swept aside. With every moment, her frustrations boiled to the surface, mixing with a newfound resolve. It's not just a hobby, Emma replied, voice steady despite the tremors beneath. I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you I'm going to do this. It's my life. A silence stretched between them, a tightrope walk of unspoken consequences and deep-rooted love. Emma could feel the world shifting around her, the air thickening with the enormity of her declaration. Do you really think you can make this work? After everything? Her mother asked, her voice barely above a whisper, an incredulous challenge hanging in the air. Yes, Emma asserted, surprising herself with the strength of her conviction. I believe I can, and I need you to at least try to believe in me. The emotional walls that her mother had built up so tightly flinched at the edges. For the first time, Emma sensed a crack, a flicker of something vulnerable. Her mother opened her mouth, almost as if she wanted to speak, to argue. But the words didn't materialize. Fine. It was just a single word, but it felt monumental, like a shift in the very fabric of their relationship. You want me to believe in your flowers? Show me. Emma's heart soared, relief flooding over her. It wasn't a full endorsement, but it was a start, a step toward something that felt like liberation. Thank you, she whispered, fighting back the tears that threatened to spill over. It felt like victory, however small. Just don't waste your time, her mother cautioned, trying to reclaim her authoritative stance. If this goes sideways, don't say I didn't warn you. I won, Emma promised, newfound determination burning in her chest. But I won't fail either. As her mother turned to leave, retreating into the fading light of the evening, Emma felt a strange mixture of sorrow and hope. Maybe this was a beginning. She closed the door and leaned on it, breathing heavily, her heart still racing. It felt like a tightrope walk, a thrilling yet terrifying leap into the unknown. With Alex and her blooming ideas circling in her mind, she felt a wave of excitement wash over her again. They had a chance to create something that could truly matter. Emma? Alex's voice brought her back as he appeared in the doorway again, a curious look crossing his face. "Is everything okay?" She turned towards him, a smile breaking through the remnants of tension. "I think it might be." But beneath her resolve, doubts fluttered like errant petals caught in the wind. What would happen next? Could she really make her dreams take flight, or would they be crushed under the weight of expectations once more? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the room, Emma felt the swirling storm of uncertainty return. She had taken a step, but the journey had only just begun. Emma took a deep breath, leaning against the door as the warmth of her mother's presence faded away. The tightrope walk had been frightening, but she had finally voiced her desire for something more. Something meaningful. A place where blooms would not just fill vases, but also hearts. "Ready?" Alex asked, snapping her back to the moment. His eyes held a mix of anticipation and gentleness, igniting a spark deep within her. "You just took a huge step. Now, it's time to build on it." Emma nodded, her heart racing with a new flame of determination. "Yeah, let us do this." As they returned to the brainstorming table, her once hidden dreams expanded, blooming like flowers in spring. Hours passed, filled with laughter and ideas flowing like petals brushing against the wind. Emma felt herself transforming. This wasn't just a business, it was her passion unfurling into a radiant tapestry woven with community and connection. She could almost picture the future, workshops filled with laughter, people sharing their stories while crafting arrangements, all gathered under the inviting bloom of her shop. But even as excitement surged, the voice of doubt lingered in the shadows. What if it all falls apart? Echoed in her mind, whispering uncertainties tied to her past. "Emma," Alex's voice broke through her thoughts. "You're brilliant, and the ideas we've come up with today are gold. Trust in what you can create." A warm jolt of pride swept through her. Under Alex's encouragement, she felt anchored, rooted in ambition. "Let us launch our first event, a community floral festival." She burst out, vision taking flight as she shared her thoughts. "We invite the town to celebrate, to connect. We'll have an interactive setup, teaching people how arranging flowers can be a form of expression, a language of its own." "I love it." Alex grinned, his eyes sparkling. "We can promote it, showcase your story, and the heart of Maplewood. It will be transformative." The two dove back into their ideas, throwing around themes and possibilities. The sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow around the room. However, Emma's phone chimed again. Sighing softly, she glanced down to see another message from her mother, a reminder of the gravity of her decision, both a burden and a beacon. But this time, she felt different. Stronger. "I'm choosing my path," Emma whispered, staring at the screen. She looked up to see Alex watching her patiently. "It's hard, but I want this," she added, determination lacing her tone. "That's the spirit." "You're not alone in this," he said, reassuring her. "What you shared with the community today? That's just the beginning. They'll see your heart and the value you bring." Emma felt the swell of something profound within her. Hope mixed with possibility, it filled the air with the scent of blooming flowers. "Okay," she said, grounding herself once more. "Let us do it." They solidified plans for their event, and as they prepared to finalize their ideas, Emma's phone buzzed again. It was her mother. After a moment of hesitation, she opened the message. "I'm proud of you for standing your ground. Let us have dinner tomorrow." Emma's heart skipped. Was this a reconciliation? She looked up at Alex, still vibrating with energy. "Okay, let us see where this goes." "One step at a time," she said, feeling the weight lift. The next day unfolded with a bright sense of purpose. Emma arrived early at the shop, her fingers tingling with excitement. She set about preparing floral arrangements, with the soft embrace of petals grounding her as she planned for the festival. Hours turned into moments as the festival day approached. Each arrangement was crafted with love, each bloom a symbol of the journeys they would soon celebrate together. As she finished, the realization crept in: she was finally carving her own path. That evening, Emma faced her mother. The conversation started heavy, but she could feel a shift in the air as they talked. They spoke of dreams, of what family means, and both felt the warmth of reconciliation blossom between them. Emma could see her mother's defenses wavering. "Just promise you'll take care of yourself," her mother said softly, acceptance growing. "I promise, Mom. I'm finally living for me," Emma replied, a radiant smile covering her heart. As the festival dawned, Maplewood buzzed, the community vibrant and alive. Emma stood at the entrance, surrounded by the flowers she adored, her heart racing. Each person who walked through those doors became part of something larger. They became part of her story. The festival unfolded beautifully, laughter echoing, conversations flowing seamlessly. Each interaction wrapped around Emma like a warm embrace, a chorus of voices celebrating resilience, and as she stood in the midst of it all, Emma realized this was more than a business. It was a cultivation of dreams, a blooming community that thrived on connection and hope. That day, she wasn't just a florist, she was a gardener of hearts, planting seeds of strength into all who entered. With Alex by her side, and her mother's tentative acceptance lighting the path forward, Emma finally embraced a bright future filled with possibility. She turned toward the future, heart full, spirit soaring. And it all began with the courage to embrace who she was meant to be. And now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Trust me, it matters. Comment below what part of Emma's journey resonated with you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative tale. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second.